Hi everyone, my name is Ellen Fireman and this is Stat 200 Online. Welcome. So I want to just introduce myself and walk you through the syllabus and how to access the course materials. So I've been teaching a long time in the math and the stats department, and my favorite thing about teaching intro stats is that everyone knows that how useful it is. Everybody wants to learn it. So the real challenge, though, is not really to teach people to use stats, but to teach people how to think while using stats or how to think with statistics. It can get really complicated, and with any technical language or complicated set of procedures, people can get really lost in it and forget what they're doing and forget where they're going. One way to guard against that is to, as much as possible, integrate everyday language into our thinking when we're doing statistics. So integrate it with statistical jargon, basically, going back and forth between the two of them. Another great teaching tool to help us keep us all in, to see the big picture is to have an interactive, simple textbook combined workbook. And that's what we're going to be using. So let me show you that and show you how to get online and access the materials. So let's look at that. So here is the Stat 200 notebook, and this is available at IUB, and it's essentially the workbook that we used last semester, and we fill this in together. And the great thing about it is, especially if you're doing this online, the great thing about it is that you can stop this whenever you want, and you can anticipate how to do the problem, try it, and then see how I do it, and check yourself. So you can, these are all the examples we do are very, very similar to the homework and the exams. So if you really stop and think and try to do the problems on your own before I do them or while I do them, it's a great way to study and help you learn the material. So let's, how can you access these lectures that I'm talking about? Well, let's go to the computer here and I'll show you. So here I am on Compass, and let's look at the syllabus here. So the best way to access me is through email, but also the first 2 weeks of class I'll be in the office every afternoon from 3 to 5. And after that, if you're off campus, I'd be happy to Skype with you. If you need individual help, just send me an email. Why don't we look at, I think the simplest way to see the course all at once is to look at the course calendar. So this is our summer calendar, and it's organized here week by week. There's 8 weeks, and homework is due Wednesdays and Sundays, except for the first week, you don't have anything on Wednesday. And so here's how you access all the lecture videos. And here's all 8 weeks is laid out here. So you can watch these videos, you can jump ahead and watch them anytime you want. You can jump ahead and do the homework, but you can't be late on the homework. These are firm due dates. So these due dates here for the homework are set. Now, when are the exams? You'll have 2 exams, one at week 4 and one at week 8. And neither of them is a final. They're both 2-hour exams covering the material up until that exam. So exam 1 covers weeks 1 through 4, and exam 2 covers weeks 5 through 8. And you can schedule, you're going to be taking the exams online, so you can schedule them anytime you want between Friday the 7th and Sunday the 9th of July for the first one, and for the second one between Friday and Sunday here at the end of the course. So I'll be sending you instructions on how to do that. You're going to be taking them online at home, but you're going to be monitored by a Proctor monitoring service called ProctorU. Instructions about how to set up ProctorU are right here, and I'll send you an email about it too. So let's see what else. So the homework is all done on Lon Kappa, and you can access Lon Kappa here. Now there's no late homework. Unfortunately, Lon Kappa does not accept late homework, but because of that, I let you drop your 3 lowest assignments with no penalty. So let's go to Lon Kappa. And, but before we do, we should probably, let's see, we looked at the course calendar. Let's look at the syllabus. Let's look, let's look. So here's the exam scheduled. The only required material is the incomplete notebook that I just showed you. Here's the grading is 35% for each exam and 30% for the homework. Now, there's these bonus points that you can get that can only help your grade. You can still get 100% without them. They're completely extra credit. But there's, I strongly recommend doing them, particularly these review problems. For weeks 1 and 2, I really want to help everybody review the basic concepts from Stat 100. Remember, there's a prereq for this course, Stat 100 or AP Stats. And a great way to review is to do these bonus problems that basically give you, just review the basic concepts on Z-scores, the normal curve, probability histograms, hypothesis tests, confounders, the stuff that you really need to know. And I don't want you to fall behind, and I want you to be prepared from the get-go. So please, those are the first things you should do, and we'll look at them in a minute. Then the notebook bonus points, I just said that I'd like you to fill the notebook in with me, and then every 2 weeks you can submit your filled in notebook, either just by flipping through the notebook and taking a video of it, or by sending me, scanning in the pages and sending a PDF. I'll explain both ways, and you'll get bonus credit for that. And the last thing you can get bonus credit for is these surveys that we'll do. They're anonymous surveys. And some of the surveys will just be questions that we can use to analyze our own data and make things more interesting. And some of them will be ways for you to evaluate the course and tell me what's working for you. So those are the 3 ways that you can get bonus points. They're all very useful, and I think they're enjoyable too. All right, so let's see, and this is the formula how bonus points are added into your grade. Now let's look at the course goals while we're here. There's 3 main goals to the course here. The first goal is to build a general framework, a general predictive model to unify the main statistical methods that we'll be using to make predictions based on our data analysis. And the real world is pretty complicated, and we have to develop more complicated methods than we looked at in Stat 100. And the second goal is the main point of statistical inference in these models is to make the best predictions we can from our data, but often the question we really care about is not just whether X predicts Y, but whether X also causes Y. Will changing X change Y? So that's a difficult thing to do without randomized experiments, as we saw in Stat 100, looking for confounders. And it's a lot of detective work. And I think it's hard, but it's going to be something that we're going to attempt to do throughout the course. And the last goal is to get you familiar with standard statistical notation and software printouts. And By familiar, I mean not only, recognizing the technical terms, but also understanding what they mean in terms of our model, how they tie together. And luckily, we have this really simple point and click data program developed by John Martin that will help us do that. So you can read this more carefully, and here's the topics that we'll be covering and in our course outline, so you can get a feel for what we're going to do here. So you can see we're going to start with hypothesis tests, extend it and look at not only type 1 errors, but type 2 errors and power, and continue with correlation, causation, and confounders, and how including variables that we think might be confounders in a model as independent variables as a way to control for them, and maybe get at causation. So, and then we're going to look at inference for simple linear regression, and then we're going to include categorical variables as well as quantitative ones, and then we'll go to multiple regression, where we could have many variables predicting one y. And so here's just, you can look through this, and I think it's, analysis of variance, that's a way to extend the 2-sample Z or t-test to 3 or more sample means. And when as I said, our basic predictive model, or maybe I didn't say, is a linear model, but lots of times our data is not linear and does not fit a linear model, so we'll have to do transformation of the variables. And let's say we have then we'll move on to logistic regression, where we're trying to predict an all or nothing outcome, like like life or death, 0-1 variable. And we'll have to use a different method besides least squares, minimizing least squares. We're going to use likelihood methods to estimate the parameters in that model. And finally, we'll look at some non-parametric tests that don't depend on any particular distributions, that just change the variables, the data in the variables, to rankings. And then you can just do very simple non-parametric tests. So that's the course, and look, that's a lot to cover. That's, it's basically a 16-week course condensed into 8 weeks. So that's another huge challenge, to be able to manage your time in the summer. I took a summer course back in the day, and it was difficult. You can't slack off. So let's look at ln kappa now and look at how I help you keep on track here. Okay, so let's go to ln kappa. As I said, this is where you're going to do all your homework and submit your surveys, homework, your bonus problems, and take your exams. So I have it organized here week by week. So if you look at week 1, it gives you an outline of basically an estimate of how you should structure your time so you don't fall behind. So for example, I say watch the intro video, that's what you're watching now. Then you want to do these 3 bonus review assignments on ln kappa. They're really simple. We can look at them right now before you even watch these lecture videos, so you'll understand them better. So let's look where you can find that. So we're just looking at always go to the course contents here. So in week 1, here are the 3 bonus review exercises. So we can look at the first one. This is the first one in ZScores. And these are just pre-lectures, simple pre-lectures from Stat 100. So you watch this little lecture that's about 10 minutes long, and then you answer questions on it. And if you get it wrong, like I did, you can get another chance. You should read. I'm not even reading the problem first. Let's say I wrote that, and now I'm wrong again. So I've got 2 wrong tries, but I have 5 left. So if you use up all 5 tries, ln kappa will show you the correct answer so you can progress on. So this is a really very low stress, easy and fun way to just make sure that you understand these basic concepts from Stat 100. And if you have any questions, please post here on the discussion board. And it's great because then I can see exactly what you have a question on. Even if you post anonymously, I'll be able to see your wrong answers and be able to help you either through a personal email or on this discussion board. So that's the idea here, and I think that pretty much sums it up. So I'll just here's your course outline, and I'll be sending you emails through here too and posting them as announcements right here. So I'll just, that's pretty much it, and I'll just say goodbye. Okay, so that's it, and I hope I'll be available for the first 2 weeks of the summer, so stop by my office 3 to 5 p.m. in 108 Illini Hall anytime, introduce yourself, or and I hope you enjoy the course. So, bye.